This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
I tried to fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. Cat drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares, but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey, everybody, welcome to blah, blah. Boy, that was hard to get out for some reason. My lips didn't work.
Hello, how do you do?
Let me try that one more time. Welcome to Bois, a King of the Hill podcast. I am Mike.
And I'm Rusty.
He is,
I am
and
Rusty.
forever shall be. We are in Season 6, Episode 16. We're pre-taping this just simply because, hey, thanks, Arthur. Arthur said, that's Artie, right? He said, great episode, great show. We are
actually, Artie, he thinks that he's going to catch the episode he did notes for. Unfortunately for Artie, we did 2 episodes today.
That's true.
And you missed the episode.
But we brought up the holy name of Artie during the
Make sure
one.
you're live, though, because last time Artie was talking and he was in post. But hit the live button, Artie, and you'll see where we're at.
So this is 6 ABE 13 in the year of our Lord. It is Season 6, Episode 16, Beer and Loathing from April 7th, 2002. We are pre-taping this because next week Rusty is having a human, and so we'll have to I am. Here's the thing: it's a lifelong burden for you having a child. For me, it's a week off, so I kind of like that. Yeah, it's not bad.
There you go, 1 week off.
Not bad. All right, let's get into this. No bell, no yell. I don't think I said that on the last one, but by the way, 15, no bell, no yell. All right, so we start in the alley. Without Bill. There's no Bill. Bill, we just hear, yep, yep, yep. I mean, they're just doing it, and then Bill finally walks up. I don't think these guys really get along unless it's all of them. You know, like they seem very uncomfortable without one of the members.
Yeah.
Which is just what they're used to.
They're a unit.
It's like the Teletubbies without the purple one. Bill walks up with a cooler, and Hank says, all right, there's the man of the hour. Dale, give it. He looks in the cooler that Bill bought, and he goes, dang it, Bill, you were supposed to buy the beer. Bill says, I went to Megalo Mart, and they were out of all the Alamo. Did you look hard? If you guys think I'm so stupid that you can't tell when a store is out of beer, you're welcome to go there and see for yourself. Hard cut. Standing in Megalo Mart, and they're looking at there's no beer. Hank says, oh, they're out of Alamo. A Megalo Mart employee comes by and goes, the whole state's out of Alamo. I already told you that this morning. Bill said, well, if you'd come back to the alley with me like I asked.
Whole state.
He wanted him to come back to the alley with him to explain to the boys that they were out of beer. All right, so next we see Peggy. She is trying to, not only trying, she's getting into the teacher's lounge. Now, remember that Peggy is a substitute teacher. Substitute teachers generally are not allowed in the teacher's lounge for the most part. It is a very cliquey, weird club. But she goes in, she sees the copier, and she's just pushing the button because there's another woman in there. And so she's kind of putting on here. She says, I have a good mind to put my fist through this thing. The other teacher comes up and goes, you probably forgot to put in the code. She goes, oh, right, the code. What is it again? She goes, are you a full-time teacher? I said, well, today I'm a full-time Spanish teacher.
Yeah.
She goes, oh, so you're a sub. I mean, you can hear it in her voice.
So you're a sub.
She goes, I'm sorry.
I don't think that relationship exists between teachers and subs, does it? It's more like teachers like subs because you come and do my job so I can go home.
You can like subs. My problem with subs And again, teaching art and rockets and robots and stuff like that. My problem with subs is they never did the work I left for them. And so generally it's just a babysitting class at that point. And if they did do any of it or tried to do any of it, they would leave a huge mess and just throw up their hands and walk out. Yeah. That was always my issue with it. I always left good lessons for them and stuff to do. I mean, worksheets and things like that, you know, anything that a sub can do. But I also subbed for like a year and a half. So I got to see both sides of it. The lady says, so you're a sub. I'm sorry. They only trust full-timers with the code. We had problems with frivolous usage. How many copies do you need?
This joke is funny.
She goes, 20 copies of the Spanish quiz and 100 of these. She holds up a bike flyer, and she goes, and that is, I'm selling a bike. So the lady gets in there. She looks at her terrible, but then she goes ahead and does the copies, which I didn't really understand.
I didn't get that either.
All right, now we're at the Hill House. It's nighttime. Hank is looking in the fridge. He goes, hi, bro. I can't drink this. You know I only drink Alamo. I guess that's like, what is it? Bro, what's the beer? Braumeister?
Braumeister?
Right? Isn't that a thing?
I don't know.
Lowenbrow. That's what I'm thinking of. Lowenbrow.
I like Hispanic beer.
He goes, I can't drink this. You know I only drink Alamo. Peggy says, and you know the stores are out of it, but nobody knows why. And then Bobby pipes in and says, hey, Mom, remember the Alamo hotline we called when I got the pop top stuck on my big toe? I love this backstory stuff when there's like something and then they just never refer to it again. Yeah. Peggy says, it should be easier to call this time without you screaming in my ear. She looks at a squashed can, so I'm assuming they squash the cans and take them to the recycling. And there's a hotline number on there. So she picks up the phone, their landline, and she says, she's listening, it rings, and then the operator picks up, hello, and thank you for calling Alamo Beer. For English, press 1. Para continuar español, prima número dos. And Peggy says, oh, she's just talking to herself. I've never been indigent in Spanish before. I don't know.
Whatever that means.
I guess she thinks I don't know what she's saying. A woman says, hola, Alamo Beer.
Indignant or indigent?
She says, oh, indignant. That's it.
Yeah.
You got it. So I've never been mad in Spanish. The lady says, hola, Alamo Beer. Peggy goes, hola, Peggy Hill. And then a little bit of time passes. We see Peggy still on the phone. Hank comes into the room. She's got her feet propped up on the table, like still talking to the person on the Alamo Beer hotline. And she goes, muchas gracias, señorita. Usted flatter me. Well, adios. And she hangs up. She goes, great news, Hank. I just hung up with Alamo. Hank's like, oh, good. You know, that's great. He goes,
that is great, yeah.
Yeah, what'd they say? What happened to all the beer? Right, the shortage. It didn't come up. She goes, but they liked my Espanol so much they offered me a temp job as a bilingual customer service representative. He said, oh, whoa, that's even better. You'll be on the inside working in the same facility as Brewmeister Conrad Skip Meinhofer IV. You can ask him what's going on with the beer. Conrad Skip Meinhofer IV. That's
Don't
the
name
guy.
your kid Conrad Skip Meinhofer.
That is the guy that buys the ski mountain and tells all the regular people to leave, right? In any 80s movie. That's the guy.
Meinhofer,
Meinhofer the IV.
Or he's like a villain in an Austin Powers movie.
He could be.
Yeah. $1 billion.
$1 billion. All right, so now we're at the Alamo factory. Peggy's going in there and getting her badge. The lady at the factory says, this is your VAP card. It designates you as a very Alamo person. That means nothing. She goes, it gets you into all the restricted employee-only areas of Alamo. She uses her badge to swipe her into this next place. And she goes, this will be your cubicle, which is, she says it's your desk, but it's a cubicle. She goes, welcome to the Alamo family. Peggy sits down. She goes, well, it's a little early, but what the hell? She's got a box of Alamo crap there, and Peggy thinks she's just going to get drunk at 10 in the morning.
Hell yeah, why not?
She goes, no, Peggy, this is your box of Alamo-mentos. Alamo-mentos.
Yeah.
She goes, Alamo mug, Alamo hat, Alamo keychain, and a don't drink and drive T-shirt. Peggy says, oh, are these items available to the general public? Lady says, nope. She goes, then I will treasure them. Yeah, that's the way Peggy is. Adolph Coors the Fourth. Yeah, absolutely. Arthur, good pickup. All right, so now
Adolf Coors the Fourth.
Adolf Coors the Fourth. Yep.
Adolf Hitler the Fifth. What did he say? Oh, Coors.
No, he said Coors. Yeah. Man, what if your name was Adolf Hitler? That would be rough. All right.
I think that his nieces and nephews didn't get married or have kids. They did a pact.
The
so
Heatlers?
the name died. Yeah, there was. He had some nephews and nieces that lived in New York. It was like
not Argentina.
2 nephews and a niece, maybe, or 2 nieces and a nephew, something like that. But they had all vowed and made a pact that the bloodline dies with them, so they never had kids or anything.
I
like
thought
that.
he was hanging out in Argentina with Elvis. That's what I thought.
No, Elvis is a preacher named something Joyce.
Okay.
Bill Joyce or Bob Joyce or
Fantastic.
something like that.
We need to catch a service.
No, it's funny, like how uncanny he is, like Elvis. He sings like gospel songs, and I thought it was Elvis cosplay at first, but it's really the guy. He really sounds like Elvis. His voice is almost
you need
similar.
To send me that.
He looks
I
similar
need
to
a link
Elvis.
to that.
I'll see if I can
I'd love
find
to see
something for
that.
you on that. It's pretty wild.
I as a small child, this is how old I am. I did see Elvis at the Astrodome.
Yeah,
with
you
my
said
parents.
that. Yeah,
I know I've said that before, but Elvis
No,
came up,
that's
so I had
good,
to say
yeah.
it again. All right, so we're out in the alley,
Uh-huh.
and they are trying to get Bill to settle on a beer here. Bill, you have to make a decision. We got red lager, pale ale, amber nut, honey beer, and then he goes, "Oh, I don't know. I'm too old to learn all this stuff." Hank walks up. He goes, guys, great news. Peggy got a job at Alamo. She'll find out what's going on with our beer. And they're just like, yeah. Dell says, I'll tell you what's going on with our beer. They sold it to the Japanese who'll change the formula and repackage it in square bottles that'll only fit in cup holders in Japanese cars.
They have round cup holders too in Japanese.
Bill
cars.
says, changing formula? I don't like change. Yeah, there's no square cup holders in Japan.
No.
Hank says, no.
Never been in Japan, but I've seen the inside of Japanese cars. I've seen a JDM car, and their
everything's
cup holders
round
are
when you
round.
drink it. I mean, it's always round, unless it's like a juice box.
Isn't that weird though? How like the standard,
that everything's round?
like the standard thing to drink out of is round, like a round, like a
Yeah, I've never really thought about it.
cylinder. Really, it's not just round.
But I guess
it's
at
also
some
cylindrical.
point somebody had to make a decision. We doing square? We doing round?
Well, it's like with
And somebody
cans
went
and bottles.
round, please.
It's like with cans and bottles. Now we think about cans and bottles in the terms of using cup holders, but in the 1800s they didn't have no damn cup holders.
No.
They were thinking about riding around in a carriage
No.
with a cup holder. So why would the shape? Well,
I don't know.
it could have
I
been
don't know
anything.
why it's. I don't know why
Could have
it's
been a
round.
triangle.
Because if you start going down this rabbit hole, then you're talking about like canned vegetables and chili.
Could have been a
and
pyramid.
It could have been a pyramid. Could have been a square. Square seems like it'd be easier than round. Maybe, I bet you what it is. Here's what I bet it is. I bet you use more material making a square than you do something round.
And there's corners.
I bet that's exactly what it is.
There's corners.
Yeah.
And when you have corners, you have weak spots.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Bill can't decide.
Maybe.
He
I don't know.
says
It sounded good.
Hank walks up and goes, now, just calm down. The bond between a beer company and its loyal drinkers is sacred. There's no way they'd tamper with something that won the Munich Beer Festival of 1849. Peggy will be home any minute, and then we'll know. And they just kind of look out the alley. They're waiting for Peggy's car to show up.
Sorry
They're
to
just all
interrupt you.
staring. Yeah.
The surprising science behind the aluminum can. So what a aluminum can actually does, being a cylinder, because it's a cylinder. We say round like it's a ball. It's actually it's a cylinder.
Yeah,
it's a cylinder. It's a cylindrical object, which a cylinder takes the best qualities of a sphere and a cube. So when packed in a box, cylinders take up 90% of the available space. So in that box, they take up the most space they could take up in a box. Not only that, the can also hold more weight on top of it. So a can,
Oh, that does make sense. I've heard that before.
yeah, a can
like
can
how
lift
it's
up to
just-
like 90 pounds per square inch of pressure.
Yeah.
That's per square inch. So how many square inches is a surface of a can? I could probably stand on that can and not break. You could probably put 200 pounds on top of a can while it's full and compressed with soda in it or liquid in it.
I don't know,
and
man.
it not
This has
crush
agave
it.
and vitamins in it. I think
And that
would
can's
hurt.
probably hold a little bit. Well, it might be a little weaker because it's a bigger can.
I think it
don't
is
know.
weaker because it's a bigger can.
I don't know if that's how it works, but yeah. So cylinders are easier to manufacture, stuff like that.
So they're just like looking down the alley. They're waiting for Peggy to show up. There's no Peggy yet. We go back to the Alamo Beer Factory. Peggy says, "You know, Teresa, this Alamo mug and Alamo hat and Alamo keychain get me to thinking, what has happened to all the Alamo beer?" We now know the lady at Alamo is named Teresa. Teresa says, "I'd be happy to tell you, but first I'm going to need your Jane Hancock on this." And she hands her a non-disclosure agreement, so an NDA. She goes, "Now that you're part of the Alamo family, you're going to be trusted with some of the family secrets. We need to know that those secrets will stay in the family." Peggy, as proof, says,
Liar.
She goes, I have never had a problem
Lying.
keeping a secret. Ask any of the gay teachers I've worked with, which you couldn't because I would not tell you who they were.
She's a liar.
She signs this thing, hands it right back to her. She goes, oh, so what's the skinny? And the lady like crouches down and she tells her something. We don't hear it. We don't hear it, but the lady's filling her in. All right, we're back in the alley. They're still looking down the alley, waiting for the car. So I guess they just stood there for like an hour looking down the freaking alley. We hear a horn honk, and the car comes from the other direction. So they weren't even looking in the right direction. She pulls up. They all go over and crowd the car. Dale's like, hey, all right. Hank comes up and says, oh, come on, guys, get away from the car. Alamo employee coming through. She gets out, and she says, gentlemen, the mystery is solved. And she is head to toe in Alamo stuff. Like, this reminds me.
Oh, yeah, she's decked out.
Well, it reminds
kind of like
me
a Marlboro Man.
Well, it reminds me of Dale with the tractor,
Yeah.
with the riding lawnmower.
Or with Manitoba.
Like where he was married. Yeah, that's true. Where he was wearing all that crap he was even wearing it in the shower.
Yeah.
Okay, so she says, the mystery is solved. She's all decked out. Bill's like, what did you find out? Dale, please, Peggy. She goes, unfortunately, that's all I can tell you. Hank, what? Why? She goes, as a member of the Alamo family, I signed a non-disclosure agreement, which means that while I am privy to company secrets, I cannot reveal them. And she walks away. The guys just look at Hank like, God damn, you got to do something about this. They just look at her like that. He goes, don't worry. I'll get to the bottom of this. All right, so we're now, these two things are very weird here. And I'll tell you about the second one when we get to it. So we're inside later. It's at the breakfast table. You can tell it's getting later in the day. Hank says, so I was thinking, you want to go ahead and tell me what's going on? Peggy's like, you know I cannot. He goes, oh, sure you can. And there's like this big pregnant pause there. She goes, I am sorry, Hank. Alamo, trust me not to tell their secrets. Just trust me not to tell them about your narrow urethra. And believe me, I had the perfect opportunity. What is that opportunity?
That's what I want to know.
I don't know what kind of conversation you're in where you go, oh, yeah, and my husband has a narrow urethra.
Well, maybe women were talking about how...
When the F does urethra ever come up?
Maybe they were like, well, does your husband's piss flow sound real heavy when he wakes up? I swear when I wake up in the mornings, the first thing I hear is him in there just pissing away.
My George has a really strong stream.
Yeah, and then there's Peggy.
My George.
Oh, well, Hank, it sounds like he's in there trying to piss through a straw or something.
It's like,
when you blow air
like
through a straw, it kind of whistles.
Yeah.
And when he pisses, it kind of makes a hairy whistle sound.
Wow. There you go. That's what you come here for. Pee-hole jokes.
Pee-hole jokes.
All right, so she says she can't do it, but she had the perfect opportunity. Now, they're in bed, and Hank does his fingers like two little legs, and he's walking up her shoulders like, like he's coming on to her. And he says, I'll get the foot lotion. She goes, oh, stop begging. He goes, come on, you have a temp job one day, and it's more important than a 20-year marriage? What about no secrets, huh? Till death do us part. Think about that, Peggy. Death. And she's like, oh, okay.
That's so dramatic, though. Over beer at that.
So
at
the
what point
weirdest,
is your addiction is now causing you to guilt your wife?
The weirdest part
secrets.
to that for me, Hank has no shirt on.
Oh yeah, he is.
He doesn't have a shirt on.
Well,
you never see Hank without a shirt.
He's about to tongue punch your fart box. So
well,
he doesn't need a shirt for
that. He goes, death. She goes, okay, but you have to promise not to tell anybody. Oh, I promise. She goes, seriously, you can't tell the guys. I could lose my job for just telling you. I already have 23 cents in my pension plan. 23 cents.
Big spender.
She goes, they are not changing the formula. They're trying to sell more beer in Mexico, so they sent all of last month's production run down there. But not to worry, Alamo Beer will be back on the shelves in 5 days. Oh, Peggy, that's great news. The guys and I can probably go to Mexico. No, Hank, you can't tell the guys you can't go to Mexico. But she doesn't say Mexico. She says Mexico every time she says it.
Well, because she knows the truth. She hasn't told him the truth yet.
Hank says, all right, fine, but you can't stop me from dreaming about it. She goes, do not tell me what I can and cannot do. You can't stop me from dreaming about it. All right, we're in the alley the next day. Bill immediately is the first one. Did she tell you, Hank? Tell me. I'll hold my breath if you don't tell me. And then he goes, and his cheeks puff out real big, and he just starts holding his breath like a freaking toddler. Dale says he'll pass out before he dies. He always does. Hank, and at that point, I forgot that he's still holding his breath.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I forgot that he's still holding his breath.
Out,
he passes out here in a second. Hank's like, sorry, guys. I promised Peggy I wouldn't say anything. Dale says, who would have thought Hank would put up some flash-in-the-pan wife before 30 years of friendship? Boomhauer. Yeah, man, you talking about the secret, man. It's like when we were kids, old skin knees, first Christmas man, lemonade stand, little old tree house, and then Bill passes out. You just hear it go punk. You don't even see it really. He just go punk.
You just hear him fall.
You just hear him fall. You go, man, if you can't trust no people in that out, I wouldn't be able to be alive, man. He goes, oh, you and your guilt trips, Boomhauer. But I promised guilt trip. But I promised Peggy I wouldn't tell. So don't give me those basset hound eyes. And then it shows his
basset hound eyes. That's hilarious.
But it shows his face, and he's just got the 2 dots. I mean, like
but if you look at Lady Bird, that's what her eyes are too. They're just 2 dots.
But he has the least like basset hound eyes. Yeah. I mean, and he's just staring at Hank, and Hank's like, oh God. All right, now we're at Alamo again. This is, what was her name, Teresa? She says, after every call, we write down where they come from and then what the problem is. If there's ever a caller you can't handle, just press this button. That'll hang up on them. Wow. And so I wish I had that kind of button when I was
hang up
supporting.
Button? Yeah.
Well, I used to work in a call center. I was supporting laptops and stuff for Acer, right? It was like a go-between job, right? A job between jobs, that kind of thing. And, boy, if we just hung up on them when it got hard, we'd be in trouble.
Oh, yeah, I'm
that
sure.
was rough. All right, so Peggy puts the headset on, answers her first call. Hola, Alamo Beer, ¿qué es el problema? Vomitado? So the person on the other end is telling her that they keep vomiting when they drink the beer. She's like, vomitado. Diarrhea? La nausea? She goes, what in Carmen, San Diego is going on in Mexico? Which I think is pretty funny.
That's a good one, yeah. All
right, we're back in the alley. Boom says, my yearbook, man. We're going to dang old friends for life, man. Good luck this summer. And you said, dang. He goes, all right, I'll give it. I give, but you guys can't tell anyone. Dale's like, oh, you got it. Bill's like, no one to tell, which is the saddest thing in this entire thing, that Bill's like, I got nobody to tell.
That's funny.
I mean, that's super sad.
That's it. Always got those guys right there. He's like, well, who am I going to tell?
He woke up, number one, and then he's like, I'm so alone.
Yeah.
Hank says, well, they're temporarily diverting beer down to Mexico. Alamo will be back on the shelves in 5 days. And then Bill says, 5 days? We can wait that long? Easy. And there's this huge pregnant pause where they're all just standing there thinking. And Dale finally, let's go to Mexico. Bill's like, yeah, man. Boomhauer, let's go down to dang on Mexico, man. Hank says, oh, shh, but I got shotgun. They go, yeah. And that takes it to the commercial break. They are going to Mexico to get some Alamo beer. And we'll be
right back.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
Hi, I'm Caroline.
And we have a new podcast for you. What's it called, Caroline?
Bloody Happy Hour.
It's going to be your new favorite guilty pleasure. We're going to talk about some bloody stuff. Serial killers, true crime, rapists. Why not join us? We'll have a good time.
You literally never know. I don't know what I'm going to say. Bloody Happy Hour. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
And we are
back.
We left the boys driving to Mexico, which, boy, did they go to Mexico a lot in this show. There's a lot of Mexico crossing.
There's a couple of Mexican trips.
A lot of Mexico trips.
Which,
that one where he doesn't have a bicycle at the end. Like, he has to get on somebody else's bike and they're riding through the desert.
Border towns used to be a little safer. At this time, they were a little safer.
Yeah, not a lot.
Cartels got crazy in the 2000s.
Oh boy. All right, so we're back at the Alamo factory. Peggy storms into the boss's office. And by the way, this is a glass office, right? It's got glass walls. So you see her storming in. She goes, Teresa, there is something you should see here. Look. And she's showing her like the thing where she wrote it all down when the people called. She goes, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. It sounds like a Pepto-Bismol commercial.
The cartels even have their own genre of music.
Oh, yeah. It's the one where they tell the stories about killing people.
Narco corridos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She goes, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. All of those calls were from Mexicans, is what she said. Mexicans.
This line here is
this is
asinine.
fantastic. She goes, now their Spanish wasn't great, but I was able to get it. They got sick after drinking Alamo. You mean the people that live in Mexico and speak Spanish for their first language? It wasn't great?
Yeah, your Spanish isn't great is what I think she meant to say. Her
She's
Spanish
such a
isn't very
stupid
good.
substitute teacher. All right, and then Teresa comes over and she goes, or she says back to Peggy because they're in her office, she goes, thanks for bringing this to my attention. This shows incredible initiative. Here, you've earned an Alamo Can-Do pen. Collect 5 of these and you get a mini flashlight. I mean, what a deal.
There you go.
Peggy says, a flashlight? Wow, I'll think of you every time something falls behind the couch. Oh, and about the vomiting? She goes, oh, right. It seems that a tiny bit of soap got into some of the machinery during the production run we sent to Mexico. It's our fault for wanting to give people the cleanest beer they can buy. That is
There's soap in the beer, so
that
they
is such
diverted it
bullshit.
to Mexico because they want to give them the cleanest.
She goes, but rest
funny.
assured, no one is in any real danger. Peggy's like, oh, thank goodness. So I can tell the callers that the soap. No! Our corporate affairs department is working 24/7 to determine the best way to handle the recall announcements. So for the time being, shh. She's like right up in her face telling her to be quiet. All right. Now we see the U.S.-Mexico border. The Bugabago is traveling through there, and then they stop at a mercado on the other side. Mercado is like a little bodega, a corner store, that kind of thing, right? And they're going through, or I guess a grocery store. They're going through and finding things to eat or whatever.
Generally, it's not the food you got to worry about; it's the water.
Yes, absolutely.
You could eat food.
Well, you don't want to eat like lettuce and stuff like that. That's like 90% water.
Yeah, you just don't want to. You just don't want to eat the water.
Don't eat the water, guys.
Don't eat water.
Don't eat water.
Don't get it in your ear either. Swimmer's ear.
Swimmer's ear. Dale walking through the little grocery store there. I don't mean to sound racist, but this is by far the best selection of beans I've ever seen.
It's a good joke.
Bill comes running through. Tacos, can I buy one? Hank's like, no. He goes, how about some pig's feet? They look clean. No food. You're going to get sick. And this isn't some 2-mile ride home from a pie eating contest. He goes, how about a banana? It comes in its own wrapper. Oh, fine. And he looks at the guy that's working there and he goes, por favor, cervezas Alamo. And then he points over the side and there's this huge display of Alamo beer. Girl in the cowboy hat stand up there. And it's almost like, that kind of thing. It's like revealed to them. It's a giant
motherland.
Mountain of beer. Next thing you see, they're outside. They're drinking the beer already. So I'm assuming it's hot beer, right?
Hot beer.
Hot beer. Because it's been
Cowboy
sitting in a
Cold.
grocery store.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cowboy Cold. And they're all just like, yep. And then Bill says, one beer's not going to hurt my driving. Look how fat I am. Hank says, sorry, Bill. This is what you get for having a mouthful of banana when we all said not it.
That's one thing I appreciate about these 4 guys here is the drinking and driving thing.
Yeah, they do mention that a lot. Yeah.
They don't ever do it, though.
No, they
Not
really
that I
don't.
can recall.
Not for the most part. Yeah.
No, he did get drunk and drive a tank.
That's true, but
He
that's a
was
little
plastered
different.
in that.
Yeah.
It is a little different.
All right, so they are on their way back, and we just see the Bugabago, but we hear what they're saying inside. Dang those bananas. Dale, step on it. Bill, I don't know which way it's coming out, but it's coming out. And then you just hear all the groans from everybody. They park at Dale's house, and, boy, everybody just runs to their own
Didn't
bathroom.
one of them jump into bushes?
No, they run to their bathrooms. I don't know. Bill might.
Yeah.
But so they're all holding their stomachs. Dale goes in, and he tries to get into his bathroom, but he has to enter a code. And then the voice comes on and goes, stage 1 complete. Now, like, he's got to go through all these stages.
Go through multiple stages just to take a
dump.
shit, yeah.
Yeah. And then you see Bill outside. And he's like, finally, yep. And he starts drinking the beer because he hadn't drank the beer the entire time.
No.
Yeah. Later, we're in the Hill kitchen. Peggy is cooking. She's cooking hamburgers. And she goes, so how was everyone's day? Hank looking bad, like he's sick. He goes, oh, pretty boring. We're watching. Oh, God. He gets up and just runs to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Of course, Bobby, never to miss a moment about his day. I had an interesting encounter with a mosquito today. Well, wait, let me back it up. He's telling Peggy this. It was lunchtime, and then time passes, and he's still telling the story. Then I said to the nurse, no, I'm not sure it was a mosquito, but it was some sort of bug that bit me, and now I itch. Long story short, calamine lotion. I mean, that's a hell of a story you get there,
That's
Bobby.
a great story.
That's a hell of a story. Hank comes back. He looks like crap. Peggy's like, Hank, why aren't you eating? Oh, I'm savoring it and going to the bathroom. The two are not related. Hank picks up the burger. He just looks at it and goes, oh, and he slams it down and runs to the bathroom again. Peggy finally goes to the door of the bathroom, and she's like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, this is behind the door. Oh, I just had to. I have the words Hank farting in the in the actual script here. He goes, just had to comb. She goes, honey, are you sick? He goes, yeah, right. I admit it. I got this diarrhea and vomiting. Like he whispers the last part.
Yeah,
diarrhea,
he doesn't like talking about it.
Diarrhea and vomiting. She goes, Hank, if you can hear me over your own noises, where did you go today? He goes, I went down with the guys to Mexico. You went to Mexico? She goes to look in the fridge. She sees all the Braumeister or whatever it's called, and then she looks behind it, and there's a bunch of Alamo in
Bunch
there.
of Alamo, yep.
What's up, Jay Horn? How are you? Is that Horn or Ham?
Ham.
It is Ham. I'm so sorry,
What's
Jay
up, Jay
Ham?
Ham?
Hello, Jay Ham.
Happy Saturday, buddy.
Ham.
I thought you were talking to somebody that
Jay
walked in the door. I
Ham.
looked over at the door. I was like, I didn't hear the
Yeah,
door.
no, it's somebody in this
you
door.
said Jay Horn, and I was like, who is
Jay
that?
Ham.
Because I'm following the script with you, and I was like, is he going off script here?
So he's farting and talking. She goes and looks at the beer. She gets pissed when she sees the Alamo.
Yeah, she's pretty mad.
She starts pouring it out. He comes into the room and he goes, my beer, Peggy. Have you lost your mind? She goes, oh, so now I'm insane? You broke a promise to me. A promise you made in the bed where I conceived our son.
Wow.
She didn't even give him part of it. I conceived our son.
He must have just laid there then.
I guess.
Is that what she's saying? Is
she's
she saying
taking
Hank's
she's
vanilla?
doing all the work. Yeah.
Who would have thought that Hank is vanilla?
She says, that is insane. He goes, oh, okay. I'm sorry I blabbed to the guys, but beer's already here. There's no sense in pouring it down the drain and back to Mexico. Hank, you cannot drink it. Why the hell not? I got diarrhea from Mexican bananas trying to get this Alamo. You're just punishing me because I told the guys the beer was down there. She says, it is not that. You are just going to have to trust me more than I can trust you. I wish I could say more, but I cannot. This tiny flashlight, she holds that up, symbolizes the huge amount of trust that Alamo has placed in me, this tiny flashlight. He goes, my God, you care more about your stupid confidentiality agreement than your own husband. And she says, and she's got a point, and you care more about your friends and your beer than you do about my stupid confidentiality agreement. Besides, it's for your own good. He goes, for my own, what am I, some kind of baby? Well, baby wants a beer. She goes, fine, Hank, drink up. He drinks another beer, which is insane. I mean, how would you, bananas are what gave you the big diarrhea?
Yeah, I'm sure it was a banana.
So we're back in the alley with the guys. They all look rough. And Hank says, where does Peggy get off being so mad at me? Yes, I broke her confidence and lied about it, but she's still keeping something from me. Dale says, exactly, Hank. She and just pukes over to the side. He comes back and goes, damn that filthy Mexican banana. Bill says, don't blame the bananas. I ate more than anyone. Peels included.
That's
Peels
savage.
included.
That's savage.
And then he says, and I didn't get sick until hours after you guys did. Hank said, we had bananas and beer. We came home. What else could have made us sick? And Bill starts drinking the beer. Hank clocks him drinking the beer, and he's like, oh, my God, the beer. And then every one of them spit takes. They're just like, they all spit it out. And he says, and Peggy knew. And then from Bill, you get, and that's it. It's just a Bill fart. Again, this is more farts in this script than I've ever read. Okay, so now Hank is sitting in the dark waiting for Peggy to come into the house. You know, like in one of those...
noir?
Yeah, like a noir thing. You know, he's got the slats of light coming up through it and all that. He's sitting there, and she comes in.
Peggy.
As she's turning... Yeah. Hello there, Peggy. What you know? What you do? She comes into the room. She turns on the light, and he goes, hello, Peggy. She goes, oh, hi, Hank. He goes, you remember that old Alamo Beer commercial? The one where the father and the son have a fight over who dented the car, and then they make up over a cold Alamo? Well, Peggy, I dented your trust, and I want to make up. And he slides a can of Alamo over to her because he knows at this point, and she's not saying. She goes, well, that's okay, Hank. I forgive you. And she slides it back. He goes, please, after what I've done to you, you deserve it. He slides it back over. He goes, unless there's a reason you don't want to drink it. She goes, there's no, I can't think of a, she just kind of laughs. And then she opens the beer, drinks the entire thing, like, just to prove a freaking point. And then the absolute next scene, Peggy's behind the door in the bathroom vomiting. Mm-hmm. So Peggy's sick. All the boys are sick. She knew she was going to get sick, which is insane. She drank it anyway, and we're going to leave it right there for the next commercial break, our last commercial break, and we will be
right back.
There it is. We did it.
Snack Attack is a podcast about the history of your favorite snacks, candies, and treats. Each 5-minute or less episode features the history of a great snack from around the world. We'll also visit what the status of the snack is today and give you a little knowledge to lord over your friend. Snack Attack is available anywhere you get your podcast or at roguemedianetwork.com. Let's get snacking.
Step into the unexpected with Cultastic, or How to Start a Cult Without Really Trying. A podcast where cult creation unfolds in the most unpredictable way. Join us on a unique journey into the world of theoretical cult formation. Unlike any other podcast, each episode of Cultastic is co-written in part using ChatGPT, and we let it decide our fate, good or bad. What makes Cultastic truly intriguing? We don't know what's coming each week. Together with our AI co-author, we'll discover and build this cult, one episode at a time, exploring various aspects of cult dynamics, leadership, and group psychology. Delve into themes of charisma, influence, and the power of group thinking. It's a blend of expert analysis, theoretical exploration, and the unforeseen twists of AI-generated ideas. Remember, Cultastic is an exercise in imagination and education where we weave a narrative one episode and one tenant at a time. Curious about where this journey will take us? Subscribe to Cultastic or How to Start a Cult without really trying on your favorite podcast platform or at roguemedianetwork.com. Let's build this mission to save the people of Earth, week by unpredictable week.
All right, and we are back.
I don't know why I brain fart when you say that.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, we're back.
Every time you say it, though, I'm like, what do I say now?
We're Peggy's in the bathroom. She's hugging the toilet. Hank's talking to her, and he goes, "My wife lies to me. My beer company betrays me. Americans are giving Mexicans diarrhea. What the hell is going on?"
That's funny.
Peggy says, "This is just stomach flu, which you gave me. Thanks a lot, Hank." He goes, "Where are you going? Put some laxative in Bobby's Cocoa Puffs?" Because she's taking off. She goes, "I am off to work where I can vomit without being accused." So now we're at the Alamo Beer factory where she is working. She marches into the boss's office again. "What is going on with this recall announcement? I have seen nothing about it in the beverage trade magazine in the ladies' room." Well, that's where you get your news.
Yeah.
The lady at the Alamo, or Teresa, she goes, "It turns out, according to Mexican law, the marketing that sold tainted beer could be held responsible, or the market." She goes, "And if those markets are shut down, where will the people of Mexico buy food for their children? Alamo is against child starvation." She goes, "Peggy, we always have been. How about you?" Peggy's like, "Well, yeah, of course, but I'm also against people with diarrhea. Isn't there a way to warn them?" "Oh, Peggy, I know what you're going through. That's why I married someone in the company, a barley man." She just walks out.
Barley man.
A barley man. All right, later at the Alamo, still at Alamo, Peggy's on a call because that's what she's doing now. "Hola, Alamo Beer. Sí, all vomitita, la diarrhea." And then she looks at a picture of Hank. Hank's got his big old smiling mug on there, and she's made the decision that Hank is more, you can just see it in this picture, that Hank is more important than this dumb job she's got as a temp job. So now she's on the phone still. Hank storms into the front office of Alamo Beer.
Oh, he's pissed.
And he's talking to the receptionist. He goes, "Excuse me, I demand to see Mr. Meinhofer IV." And the receptionist says, "I'm sorry, sir, but without an appointment." And then Hank again says, I know you're just trying to do your job, but there's no way you were trained to deal with a customer as dissatisfied as I am.
That's hilarious.
Peggy, hearing Hank's voice, stands up, and she's kind of watching everything that's going on here. So she's kind of getting clued into what Hank's doing.
Yeah.
And then the elevator opens. Off comes Meinhofer IV, and what we find out are all his lawyers. So, and he's already in the middle of something. He goes, I want to open the board meeting tomorrow with a joke. Not to tie your hands, but maybe something about a giraffe. And then Hank, which is great because they do a callback. Hank comes up and says, Mr. Meinhofer IV, I'm Hank Hill, Strickland Propane. For the last 20 years, Alamo has been part of my family like favorite uncle who lives in the refrigerator. But you knowingly sold tainted beer to the good people of Mexico. That is not a crime, but it should be. Now, I would like an apology. Meinhofer IV is a dick.
Yeah, he is a dick. Mr. Strickland, Alamo Beer is not your
uncle.
Not Mr. Strickland.
Yeah, that's weird that it says Mr. Strickland. But
Yeah,
he
Mr.
called
Hill,
him
sorry.
Mr. Strickland. No, he called him Mr. Strickland because he's not listening to him.
Oh, he's not listening to him. I got you. Yeah.
He's like, I'm Hank Hill, Strickland Propane. He goes, Mr. Strickland.
Alamo Beer is not your uncle.
Not your uncle. We are not family. We are a Delaware limited liability corporation. The beer we sell in Mexico is as pure as the beer we sell in America. Peggy hears this. She goes, what? He's lying. He continues. So unless you are one of our shareholders, we don't owe you anything, especially an apology. We will not stand by while you libel our product with your baseless accusations. Now, I am not a litigious man. That's why I have lawyers. Well, then that makes you litigious.
Very.
He points to the other guys. And then Hank's like, are you threatening me? He goes, I don't threaten people. That's why I have security guards. Security guards come up and they start trying to move Hank. He goes, you're kicking me out? Okay, fine. I'm kicking you out of my refrigerator. Peggy sees this, and that's the final straw for her. She's kind of pissed now. So she comes up with a plan. The next thing we see is Bobby and Peggy pouring out Alamo Beer in the garage at their house. And she says, Bobby, put down that tainted beer. I was hoping I would not have to come to this, but it looks like I have to take down the system. She puts on all her Alamo gear. She grabs some of the six-packs, and then she takes off. Right now, we don't know exactly what she's doing.
No, she's doing something pretty cool.
She sneaks into, which
The
is
boardroom,
weird.
yeah.
Okay, it's weird to me that this temp employee has a badge that'll get her into the executive boardroom. That seems odd. But she sneaks in like she's the male
It could
person.
just be like a formality.
That's
Just
true.
it could all be like on the same code, and they just tap the
It could
badge to
be.
get into
It
a
could
door.
be.
Kind of like schools, and a teacher can get in any room in the school with their little NFC tag.
So she sneaks in, but she's in all her Alamo gear. She has Alamo sunglasses.
She's decked out.
She has the hat. She has the coat. She has it's all Alamo all the time with her. And she's pushing a mail cart, right? So she's pretending to be the mail person. She comes through and goes, paycheck's coming through. Thank God it's almost Friday, huh? Or it's Alamost Friday, which, okay, stop that. The reception's like, yeah. And then you hear the elevator bell ding. And it goes to she gets in it.
Yep.
She goes to the top floor by swiping her card. She sneaks into the boardroom, which they already have Alamo cans on ice in the boardroom in a couple of bowls. She takes those out, puts the tainted beer in the bowls, right? And then outside, you hear Meinhofer IV and his lawyers yucking it up. And he goes, so the freaking giraffe orders beer, and the bartender says, you want a long neck? And the giraffe says, I have a choice. And then they all laugh because it's the funniest thing ever.
That is pretty funny.
They go in, they sit down in the boardroom, and they all pop a beer and they start drinking. And Meinhofer says, this beer is fresh off the line. You see Peggy kind of sneak out. And we've already shipped it all over Texas. Oh, God. And then he starts coughing, and they all get up, and they all run to the refrigerator. They all run to the toilet at the same time. So they got sick super quick.
Yeah, I got sick like immediately. So I probably sat there and festered up a little longer.
Yeah,
the beer
I don't
had a
doubt
chance. The whatever was wrong with it had a chance to mellow and sit there.
So if you've ever drank anything that had any kind of soap residue in it, you know exactly what that is. I mean, you throw up, it's coming out of both ends at that
But
point.
fun fact,
Soap's not
they
great.
probably don't use soap when they clean a lot of these factories. We never used soap. We just used a lot of hot water.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt that.
It's all stainless steel.
Sure.
You could clean it all with hot water kind of thing.
Next thing we see is this fireside commercial, right? It's on TV, and it's got these two little girls, two little boys. They're kind of playing. There's a fire in the background. There's a dog next to his chair, so it's fireside chat kind of thing. You know,
Yeah.
he's trying to be one of the guys.
Hey, everybody.
This is
How are
Meinhofer
y'all
the Fourth.
Have a seat with me and my family. Yeah.
He goes, "Hi, I'm Conrad Meinhofer IV, CEO of Alamo Brewing Company. Kids, run along and play. Daddy needs to talk to his friends." Remember, he just said they're not friends, they're not family, all that stuff. And then it kind of pulls out, and it's Hank and Peggy watching this in their bedroom. I've never seen a TV in their bedroom before.
Yeah, it's a weird angle, yeah.
First time. Meinhofer's still talking. "It has come to my attention that some of our fine product was well below Bavarian purity standards, and I let it get to you anyway. As of today, I'm ordering a complete recall of all Alamo beer in both Mexico and the United States. If we're lucky enough to get your business back, it won't happen again, because we're not just a company, we're family, and we're sorry." I mean, that is absolutely... That was the only thing Hank was looking for.
He was looking for an apology, yeah.
You know, he was just looking for that. And so he goes, I don't understand why that was so hard, but why couldn't he just apologize to my face? Peggy says, "Well, sometimes when people are confronted with their mistakes, they're too embarrassed to admit they're wrong." I think she's partially speaking about herself.
Yeah.
Especially proud people. You're successful businessmen, you're educators, you're substitute educators. "I'm sorry, Hank." He goes, "No, Peggy, I'm sorry. Hey, look, there's Hops the dog." And he looks on the commercial. Dog's just licking his crotch. I mean, I don't understand the appeal of that.
Yeah.
Peggy says, "Actually, the real Hops died 5 years ago. It's one of the company's secrets. Pass it on." And that's it. We get to the credits.
Lemonade Stand's old little treehouse.
Yeah, after the credits, boom hour. Lemonade Stand, old little treehouse.
Old boom hour.
All right, man. That is Man and Misses and all in between. That is Season 6, Episode 16, or 6ABE 13, Beer and Loathing from April 7, 2002. You want to tell them where they can find us?
Yep. You can find us at BWAAAKOTH.com. You can find us on YouTube.com/@BWAAA. That's 3 A's, BAAAKOTH. There you go.
Artie has a really good point. He goes, FYI, once she punched in her code to get access to the boardroom, they could track that back to Peggy. And that's absolutely true. That's what I was saying. I don't know why they let her have one of those. That's it, guys. If you would, please check out our Patreon. We've got a little $3 thing. It really helps kind of keep the lights on and stuff.
It does.
And we've got more coming. Congratulate Rusty next week, maybe like after Wednesday. And tell him happy baby. And we'll see you again on the following Monday. Well, no, I guess we'll see you on Friday and then on the following Monday. So also, again, I know this is a week later and we're having to tape these in advance, but if you got some feedback for me on Principal Moss announcements,
yeah, we would like some feedback on that.
Love to have it.
If you guys like it, we'll keep it up. If not, we won't.
That's right. We'll do somebody else. All right, guys. Good to see you. We appreciate you being here. We love you all. Thank you so much. Artie,
thank you.
Hope everything's good. J-Ham, hello and goodbye.
Wima Tanye.
Wima Tanye. Indeed. This has been a Rogue Media Network production.